You are now listening to In the Trench.
Welcome back to season 3 of In the Trench.
I have quite the episode for you guys.
Yes, we do.
So, I have been trying to get David Thornton on the podcast for the last 7 months, almost. I don't know how far away August is from today.
6 months.
September, October, November, December, January. 6 months. He plays Art the Clown in the Terrifier franchise, and Terrifier 2 is about to come out.
And if you haven't seen Terrifier 1, please go watch it.
Don't watch it with any kids. And
Don't watch it by yourself.
If you're very squeamish, you've been warned. But it is a fantastic movie. It is so fun to watch. It is so crazy how real they get. David was so awesome. Holy fuck, he was so cool. He came in, he told us everything about how it was being on the movie, how he scared himself sometimes. I'll let you just enjoy the episode. It's not too long. I know you weren't in it, but you were there. What did you think of the episode?
I thought it was really cool. David's a really cool guy.
He's
He's really cool. He's really passionate about what he does.
That's my favorite part about talking to him.
He's very passionate. He loves it, and he's he's so charismatic. Like he's so So
whenever
that was really
I talk
cool.
to somebody that is in love with their craft, and you could see it, like it just radiates. It is such a pleasant experience talking to them. So again, thank you so much, David, for coming on the podcast, for making the time to come here. And we're so excited to watch Terrifier 2 out sometime this year, so stay tuned for that. And thank you to Mini Activewear and Hillbilly IC for sponsoring this episode.
As always.
We'll see you next time.
Enjoy the show.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I really appreciate you making the time. I know everything's super crazy considering Terrifier 2 is about to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just jump into it. So I know we have a little bit of a hard stop in like 15 minutes. So how is all that going with the Terrifier 2?
It's great. Damien's just finishing up the final edits right now. I just got to see the last 10 minutes of the movie yesterday, and with all the special effects, all the sound effects, music, everything put in. Oh my God, it's exciting. He's gonna start shopping around in a few weeks to our original distributors and stuff like that, and hopefully they pick it up. If not that, we got other people already chomping at the bit to take us on. So it's happening. So we're thinking latest is going to be released is by Halloween. So that's the worst case scenario. So yeah, exactly. So that's the worst case scenario.
That's the perfect time for it to come out. And what about Netflix? Is Netflix one of those possible distributors?
I have no idea yet. Yeah, it's like with the distributors we had last time, they're the ones that set up the Netflix deal and stuff like that. So we shall see. Yeah, I mean, I think Shudder's always an option too. So who knows?
I know. I made sure to get Shudder the second that came out, because my girlfriend and I, all we do is watch horror movies, because that's the only thing we literally, before we found we started the podcast, we watched Terrifier and the other Art the Clown movies. Because I know you aren't actually the first Art the Clown, right?
Correct. No, that was Mike Gianelli. That was in All Hallows Eve. So he just wanted to go off and do other things with his life instead of putting on that makeup every day. So I was like, oh darn.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy to ruin my chance maybe having him on one day, but I think you're the perfect Art the Clown.
Thank you.
Everything that we watched, like I remember Terrifier 2, terrifying as it was, no pun intended, it was disgusting.
Oh yeah,
that movie is rough. Like it is hard to get through in the best possible way, right?
Just wait.
That's what I was gonna segue into. Is Terrifier 2 really that much worse?
Oh my God, yeah.
I can't.
Damien, his mom, got him hooked on horror movies when he was like a little kid and stuff like that. So she's a huge horror fan herself, and he showed her one of the big kill scenes that was fully edited during the holidays, and she's like, I don't know who you are anymore. This is Damien. I'm like, dude. It's basically just 5 minutes of me just slaughtering someone, and
I can't. Oh my God, it's so real because you guys use so many actual practical effects in your movie. That is, and have you been in it since before Terrifier, or is it Terrifier was your first go with art?
Terrifier was my first go with art. Yeah, I just went in blind to it, and they're like, well, not blind. I had seen All Halsey, but it was like I didn't know anybody involved in it until I did the audition.
I got to tell you that the design for Art the Clown has to be the most terrifying clown design for a horror movie I've ever seen in my life.
I agree, man. It's just it's amazing what Damien came up with. That's all him. He made him to be the exact opposite of Pennywise.
Yeah, no, it's an instant classic too. Like everybody who has like pictures and posters or tattoos of like horror icons, Art the Clown is in there now, right?
It's crazy.
How does it feel knowing that your face, even though it's a little altered, is on people's bodies forever?
It's a very surreal thing to recognize that, because it's not just like one or two tattoos. Because at first, like when people started getting tattoos, Damien and I were like always posting them and stuff like that. We were keeping count of them, and it got to the point where like we can't even keep count of all the tattoos anymore. It's just like there's just so many of them out there, and I'm like, that's insane. I love it though, because it's like that's a commitment right there, to put that face on your body for the rest of your life. I'm like, that's not a pretty face. So,
it's an iconic face.
I guess so. I'm not gonna complain.
Those thick black lips and the bloody black, just as black teeth. It is scary. Like,
remember to floss, kids.
I don't know what the word for it is, for the phobia of clowns. Whatever it is, I have it because I genuinely am scared of clows. And you can just
colorophobia
was to get through Terrifier for me. But has it ever come to a moment? I don't know how much of a fan of horror you might be, but did you ever scare yourself? Almost looking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It would be sometimes late at night, and I was just kind of out of it and tired, and I would go to the bathroom, and I would be in the full makeup and everything, and I had blood all over me, all that kind of, and I would just forget that I was wearing all that, and I'm like, oh God, no, it's just me. It's just my reflection.
How hard is it to get into that makeup?
It's I've gotten used to it. It took originally about 3 or 4 hours. Now we've gotten around to about 2 hours now, and because Damien's perfected his skills over all this time, because he does the makeup himself.
Really?
He's very particular about it. He could always hire other people, but he's fine to letting other people do the makeup on everybody else, but he's very picky about my makeup and all the the battle damage people do. He wants to do all that kind of makeup himself, just because he's very particular. He's a perfectionist when it comes to that kind of stuff. And yeah, I've learned to trust in his perfectionism when it comes to this kind of stuff, because he knows exactly how things need to look.
No, and it's you can tell in watching All Hallows Eve, watching Terrifier, and I'm gonna make the very brave assumption that watching Terrifier 2, the actual love for the character, the craft that goes into this. Because as personally, the reason I started this podcast is I'm a film major myself, so I love talking to people about movies, directors.
Yeah,
I want to do this in the future myself also. So you could tell when something is passion based versus something is like a big budget studio just throwing money at, hey, just make this for us.
Oh, so true. And that's because I'm not going to name names, but I've seen some remakes and reboots and sequels recently where I'm just like, God, this is just a cheap, cash in right here. It's just like, yeah, let's just throw money at this, and because we know it's going to make money because the name of the movie will sell it. But
yeah, just bank on nostalgia.
Yeah, there's no heart in it. There's no love and passion behind it, and it translates when you see that, because with us, it's like we're very passionate about it. We go gung ho on everything. You can actually tell that we actually care about what we're putting out there, and that's why we haven't rushed getting this movie out. Damien's been taking his time with the whole editing process, because he doesn't want to put out a half-assed version of this film. That could have been easily done in a few months, but he's very particular about, he knows what sound effects he needs here, what music he needs there. He's doing all that himself. I think it's gonna translate very well to the screen.
Now, question, whether, I don't know if you have the authority to say anything, or maybe you don't know, but is there any multiverse thing maybe happening with Art in the future? Like, what I mean by that is like him venturing off into some other IP.
Oh, who knows? I doubt it.
Like some Freddy versus Jason type thing.
Yeah, I doubt it, but I mean, I'm not gonna say no, because you never know. Damon might come up with some cool idea to like do some kind of cross thing with another character. Who knows? Who knows? I think this character's got so many possibilities. So I'm not going to say no to any of that because who knows?
You're in love with the character. I can tell just by.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's so much fun, man. It's just like I've always loved playing like mischievous type characters anyways, and like this is like basically the ultimate mischievous character. He's so just he doesn't kill out of revenge or anything like that. He does it just because he enjoys it and he has fun doing it. And I think that's just so much fun, but so depraved at the same time, and I love it.
It's great. It's such a guilty pleasure watching those movies because as much as it is a really scary movie and it's put together well, like there is a nice plot to the film, I'm watching it for the bloodbath, the goriness.
Oh, yeah.
Like in Terrifier 1, whoever's seen it, which I know a lot of people have seen, especially when it got on Netflix, it blew up more than anything. That one scene with the girl with the chainsaw.
Oh boy. Oh yeah, that might seem tame
in my brain.
Oh, just wait, man.
I can't believe that. I can't think of anything that tops that.
Oh,
right.
We took that as a personal challenge because, like, right when Terrifier came out and people were starting to demand a sequel, like, oh my god, did we set the bar too high for ourselves with that kill scene? We're like, well, there's our challenge right there. We got to top that.
Got to make it worse.
Yeah, and I think at least with the pure malice and the viciousness behind the kill, I think we've definitely topped it. And I think definitely with the gore factor too. Oh my god. It's like, that scene took us like 2 or 3 days to film, the hacksaw scene, because just with different shots and stuff like that. But this scene that I think is going to top it took us about a week to film because all the prosthetics involved with it, and it's oh my god, it's just you'll know it when you see it. You'll know the scene. It's
I can't wait. That sounds. I got a question for that chainsaw scene. Was that a just a dummy?
Oh yeah. We filmed all the stuff with Catherine first, and then the next day we came in and we had a prosthetic that I actually got use the hacksaw and just go saw right through it, and we had the organs spilling out and stuff like that. So that was fun. There was a lot less stress that day because the stuff with Catherine was so dangerous to do, because she's in a very compromising position. It was like 20 degrees that night. She was freezing cold and upside down and naked and covered in blood. And
yeah,
that wasn't a lot of fun. But yeah, this other stuff, actually sawing through it. Oh, we were having a blast. There's no stress that night.
It must be fun. I mean, I've always wanted to die in a movie. I always said it whenever I'm in a movie or if I'm directing something, I make sure that a death scene for me is going to be in it. Yeah. It's going to be the most over the top thing possible.
I got to die in a movie recently. I did this movie that we filmed during the pandemic called The Dark Offerings. It just came out on Amazon Prime. And I'm in the beginning of the movie, and I guess that spoiled it since I said I die in the movie, but I die in the movie. But I had doing it. I didn't realize how hard it was because I'm so used to being silent and everything like that. And I'm like, I'm having to scream for hours. I'm like, oh my god, how do my co-stars do this? I was getting a stress headache during it all too because it was so intense, and I was just having to constantly just be tense like that. It gave me a headache. I'm like, this is not easy. I prefer killing people.
That's awesome.
More power to my victims.
I mean, they go through it. They get chopped up. They really cut in half with rusty hacksaws.
Oh yeah. A lot of tetanus.
I guess the last question I have for you, because I'm just going to wrap it up a little bit here, is what is your favorite and least favorite part of actually playing the role?
Oh God, my favorite part. Actually, let's do my least favorite part first. I always like to do the bad stuff first. My least favorite part is probably just dealing with the makeup and the extreme temperatures, because we're probably going to change it up for part 3 whenever we make that, because we found a better way to make a mask. But what we used for part 1 and 2 was this gelatin-based mask that would, if you got any liquid on it, it would disintegrate.
Wow.
And so my mouth was always having to be touched up and stuff like that because it would just fall apart so quickly, and that would just delay things and delay things and delay things. And I would have to stick toothpicks up my nose to keep my nose from running all the time too. So it was kind of uncomfortable in that way because sometimes when I'm worrying about my makeup falling apart, it's kind of detracting from my performance because I'm trying not to let my mouth just go all over the place. So it's like that's the worst part is, I would say, just especially the extreme temperatures, because we filmed a lot of like really cold locations on both films. And I know it was bad for me, but I know it's even worse for my co-stars because they were sometimes wearing a lot less clothing than I was wearing, and they're covered in blood, and so they're cold and miserable. So, and they're having to act on top of that. So that's probably the worst part. Now, the stuff I love doing though is I like it when I get a scene where I can just play around and experiment.
Yeah.
Like how you saw me in like the diner scene where I'm doing all the faces and stuff. That was me just playing around.
That was improv.
Yeah, that was all improv.
That was the most, like, one of the scariest parts of like the movie, because like you're at some pizza or a diner, like you said, and there's just this fuck ass clown right here just doing all these faces. That is crazy. It was a
blast. They just let the camera roll for like 5 minutes, and I was just making tons of faces and everything.
That's
was going
so
crazy.
Cool.
And then part 2, they deliberately wrote more scenes like that, where it's just like there was like a bare bones description of what happened in the scene, but we didn't know what we were going to do until we got to the location, and I got to see what props were around and stuff like that. And then I would just take a few minutes just to look at my surroundings, and I would come up with a whole entire routine to do with everything. And we'd film it and would experiment and play around with different options, and that was fun because it just kept things fresh and light on set. So I like doing that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. No, David, I really have to say thank you again. I know this was a long time coming to get you on this podcast, and it was so worth it. This was really the coolest thing. Speaking to somebody who's given me nightmares is such a cool experience.
Oh, no problem, man. Glad we finally got to do this.
It was awesome. It was awesome. And I can't wait to see Terrifier 2 out in videos
sometime this year, hopefully. Sometime this year.
I heard you slip up, and I'm just gonna say it. You said Terrifier 3 is coming out at some point also. So that's also
we got some fun ideas for part 3.
That's exciting.
Oh yeah, we got some crazy ideas.
Are you gonna top? Are you gonna top it? Are you gonna top these?
We'll see. I think part 2 is gonna be hard to top. I think this might be our Empire Strikes Back. So
can't wait.